Buenos días o buenas tardes, estudiantes. Welcome to Mandatos informales. Informal commands are also called tu commands or mandatos tu. Here's a situation where one uses mandatos informales. La profesora le dice al estudiante, muy bien, Javier, pinta un árbol aquí. Paint a tree here. Escribe tu nombre también. Write your name. Usa la pluma. No uses el pincel. Use the pen. Don't use the paintbrush. Los profesores, los padres, all of us, we use mandatos a lot. We use commands to tell each other what to do and what not to do. So hay mandatos afirmativos, affirmative, and also negativos. But remember, this is just to talk to one person, a friend, or someone in an informal situation, someone familiar to you. So let's begin with how to form los mandatos afirmativos in the do this, do that type commands. It's pretty easy. Casi todos los verbos, almost with all verbs, you just use the form usted, él, ella. So, for example, hablar becomes habla con tus padres sobre la fiesta el sábado. Speak with your parents about the party on Saturday. Come más verduras. Eat more vegetables. Comparte las papas fritas con tu hermano. Share the French fries with your brother. Pretty simple, right? Well, of course, there are always a few irregulares that you have to memorize. Tienes que memorizar unos. Hacer becomes as. Remember, the Z is not pronounced like it is in English. As or ath in Spain. Ser becomes se. Se bueno, be good. Ir, ve, go. Ve a la tienda para mí. En la foto aquí, la mamá de Paco grita, Paco, ¿por qué juegas videojuegos? Haz tu tarea, do your homework. Well, there are also some irregulares that follow a pattern. Estos irregulares quitan la go de la forma yo. So we just take off the go from the yo form. So like pongo or poner becomes pon. Pon la mesa, set the table. Tener, yo tengo, ten. Ten cuidado, be careful. Take care. Decir, di la verdad, tell the truth. Salir, sal. Leave, sal de la clase. Venir becomes ven, come, which is one we probably hear a lot in the grocery store with Spanish-speaking families. Ven aquí. Ven aquí, mijo. Ven aquí, mija. So that was not too bad, but the negativos are a little more complicated. Here's an example of a situation. La mamá dice, no hables conmigo en ese tono. No vayas al centro. Regresa a la casa ahora. Don't speak with me in that tone of voice. Don't go downtown. Return home now. So for negativos, necesitas memorizar unas reglas. Some rules to memorize. To form the mandatos negativos, the majority of verbs, we follow these steps. So first escribe no, because it's a negative, don't do something. And then follow these steps. Empieza con la forma yo. So here's some verbs we'll practice with. Bailar becomes bailo. Pongo is from poner. Duermo from dormir. And the next step, we have to take off the O. So here's what we're left with, the stem. Then the last step is a little bit funny because for verbos AR, you add an ES. And for verbos ERIR, ERIR verbs, you add an AS. So it's kind of the opposite. So here's how it looks. No bailes. Don't dance. I would never say that in my class, but no pongas agua en mi espaguetis. Don't put water in my spaghetti. No duermas. Don't sleep. No duermas en clase. Here's a little more practice with that. Olvidar, to forget. No olvides tu dinero para el almuerzo. Don't forget your money for lunch. Escribir. Notice it's an IR verb, so the ending is going to be like the opposite. No escribas en el examen. Don't write on the test. Pensar, which is a boot verb, right? E turns to IE. No pienses en tu novia durante la clase. Don't think about your girlfriend during class, as if you can do that. There are some situations, some special cases. Verbs that end in car, gar, or sar have a spelling change just because of some spelling rules in Spanish. So let's start with car. Needs to end in QUES. So like for sacar, no saques la basura hasta el miércoles. Verbs that end in gar become guess with a GU. Jugar becomes no juegues con tu teléfono. And verbs that end in sar or thar need to have a C instead of a Z. So empezar becomes no empieces la tarea ahora. Don't start the homework now. There are also some irregulars that you just have to memorize. Unos irregulares, like dar, to give, becomes no des. So, no des de comer a los animales salvajes. Don't feed or don't give food to wild animals. Estar, no estés. Don't be that way. Ir, no vayas. Don't go. Ser, no seas. Don't be that way if it's a more of a personality characteristic talking about. And then one last thing is, what do we do with verbos reflexivos? Remember those verbs that have this se at the end, talking about something you do to yourself. So what we do with the afirmativos and the affirmatives, do this, do that, we take the pronombre te, which, remember, that's the only one we're going to need in this case because we're just talking in the tu form. We're just talking to one person. So, va después del verbo goes after the verb, pegado, attached to it, con un acento on the third to the last syllable. One, two, second to the last, third to the last. Lavarse becomes lávate las manos. Wash your hands. So notice the te is attached to the end of lava, and you have to write an accent. So you put the emphasis on lávate las manos. Despertarse, which remember is a boot verb. Despierta becomes despiértate. Wake up now. With a little accent to put emphasis on the E. Negatives are kind of the opposite. So el pronombre va antes del verbo. The pronoun te goes before the verb, between the no and the verb. So peinarse, to comb oneself. Ariel, no te peines con un tenedor. Don't comb your hair with a fork. That's just crazy. Secarse, no te seques con esa toalla, está sucia. Don't dry yourself with that towel, it's dirty. So, amigos, estudiantes, ahora you know how to boss other people around, particularly your friends and your younger siblings, because this is familiar situations. El fin. Adiós.